Oh, look at Brad Botkin just jamming out. I'm Bill Ryder. It's the sound of basketball. And it's back for Beyond the Arc on this Friday. Thank you for hanging out. As always, you can subscribe, you can like, you can leave a comment, go over to our YouTube channel, turn on notifications, do all the good stuff so you can always be in the next one. We're talking hoops. We're going to hit a reported opportunity that the Timberwolves had to, in effect, swap Anthony Edwards for Luka Doncic. We're going to get into team of the night, but let's start with Steph Curry's incredible game. And I thought a really interesting question producer Aaron had off of this. Man, I know you're a Warriors guy, so I'll let you start. How it must be really nice to be watching Steph still do Steph things.
Yeah, he was unbelievable last night. It was his first Steph game of the year. He has not done one of these this year. Actually hadn't cracked 40 points, forget 50, which is very surprising. His high for the year was 39. And it goes to show the Jimmy Butler impact, even when it's not happening in the box score. Because last night, Jimmy was like kind of a no-show. He had one basket, 5 points, 7 shots. Yep. But Steph's so re-energized.
Yeah.
And the defense is so much more occupied that he's able to do these things. So he clearly still had it in him, but we hadn't seen this from Steph. And man, it's starting to feel like the Warriors, like they're down. Well, they would have been down 17 at halftime, except
I'm glad you brought. Let me walk through. Yeah, let me just walk through it real quick So he had 56 points. He made 12 3-point shots. He made 12 of his 19 threes. He now has 12 or more threes in a game 3 times, tied with Klay Thompson for the most such games in NBA history. He outscored the Orlando Magic 22-21 in the third quarter. And as Brad noted, that they should have been down. Your Warriors should have been down 17. And Steph hit like a 3/4 court 3-point shot to cut it to 14, and then just came out in the third quarter and single-handedly dominated these guys. It is his 14th career 50-point game. And the first one, I think I told you this, but the first one he ever had was at the Garden against the Knicks. And I always will remember that because I was at a bar in Indianapolis with Paul George and Danny Granger watching that game.
Oh, yeah?
And PG, we're having beers with the game.
Because they played the Pacers the night before.
Yeah.
Right. On that game. I remember that game.
Wow, good memory.
I've grown up a Warriors fan and was like, when we got Steph, I was trying to tell everybody, like after the ankle thing.
You knew.
And I was like, listen, guys, and no one would, and I'm not saying like I was on to something, but I just was watching the team no one else was watching. And when that game happened in the Garden, it was on a back-to-back. I believe David Lee wasn't playing, who at the time everybody was like, he's our all-star. And
David Lee.
And it was like, yo, Steph, he just went so nuts at the Garden. And that was like, I remember just being like, okay, I don't have to sell him anymore. He's unbelievable. And it's so last night, you might have been getting to this, but yeah, the anniversary of that game, the day.
Yep.
And also the anniversary of the OKC game winner. So like
it's in the stars, man.
Don't screw with Steph Curry on February 27th.
I remember PG looking up and kind of at the TV we're watching, right? And whenever Steph got to 50, or maybe it goes, man, this guy's going to be good. And a few years later, when Steph became great, I reached out again because I kind of knew him. Like, hey, do you want to talk about Steph Curry since we were together when this sort of started? And Paul George is like, I don't want to, through an intermediary, I don't want to talk about Steph Curry. It went from, for the whole league, by the way, not just Paul, oh, what a cool young player, to jealousy and like, oh crap, there's another one of these monsters we got to go through.
Yeah,
it happened. And this is, so producer Aaron brought this up, and I love this, and I was on the radio, so I've been pondering it, but haven't really thought about it as deeply as I want to. 2-part question. I really want to get into this with you if you're up for it. One, is Steph Curry still that level of basketball monster, superstar that can be the guy, like carry a team's a little strong because everybody needs somebody, but one of those few guys that if you have them and you have the right pieces, you can be a champion? Is he still one of those guys? I think the answer is yes. Yeah. And how many are there? Because let's start with Steph. I don't think there's many. I was thinking about it. I don't think there's many of those guys left. And the fact that the arrival, and you hit on this, of Jimmy Butler to liberate him on the court and to sort of liberate his joy has given us another shot at this Steph, that level of Steph, maybe being a factor for a year or two more.
Yeah, no question. So the question is interesting. How many guys can be the guy on a championship team? So we're really, in my mind, we're talking about two different kinds of championship teams. And it seems to me that in this,
I'm saying not Tatum, doesn't count, not like the best player on a complete team.
Right. So if you're talking about like Donovan Mitchell,
not.
So we're talking about like a 2022 Steph championship.
Can I give you my list?
You're the
tell me who I'm missing? Yeah, okay. You're the guy. And you're like again, maybe not by yourself the way that LeBron used to do.
But not the best player of a collection.
The Steph, you just said it, from 22, and that team wasn't that Warriors team wasn't that good. I just don't think we realized it. Jokic is obvious. I think Giannis is still on that list. Again, now Giannis is going to be overshadowed because Superman is Superman, even if he's sitting next to Kryptonite, and Doc is Kryptonite for me. Steph, Luka, and then this is a bummer, and we can't debate it because he's out with the blood clots. I would have put Wemby on that list if he were still playing, even though I think he's that level already. But that's the list for me is Nikola, Giannis, Steph, Luka. That I think that's it, dude.
Yeah, you can't put Wemby on it because if he was really ready to be the guy on a championship team, the Spurs wouldn't have been fighting for the 10 seed. But I know man. I know what you're saying, but he's not. No, there's no way that unless if you put a team around, I think Wemby's ready right now to be like a Donovan Mitchell. If you have an awesome team around him, but he's the best one of a bunch of good players. But he's definitely going to get there. He can't win a championship by himself right now. No way. But I mean,
here's the thing. Neither can Steph, right? But if you put Wemby on, I don't want to go down. But if you put Wemby on that Warrior, yeah, you're right. He's not there yet.
No way.
He's not there yet. He's going to get there.
Luka, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is okay. We're gonna have to go back to this. There's 4. You can name 4 or 5 guys, and somebody traded one of them. So, Luka,
yeah.
I still will put Steph. I still will.
Yeah.
He's not the 22 Steph, and the league is not 22. That wasn't a great. That Celtics team wasn't great.
They weren't ready. They weren't as good.
They got some luck through, but he was still unbelievable when it counted. So I'll still put Steph on there. I do agree, Giannis. I got my list here, Jokic, and then so SGA is the most interesting
one
because he's on the type of team that we're talking about with like a Donovan Mitchell. It's a collection of parts, which is in part he's going to win MVP. But if you wanted to make a case,
I don't know if he is.
You
think he is?
He's definitely going to win.
Yeah. I might vote for Jokic, dude.
I would.
Different topic. I think I might vote for Jokic.
Jokic would be my vote. I just think SGA is going to win. But he's the interesting one because the team is awesome. It's definitely a collection of parts. He's clearly the best player. If you look at the plus minuses for the total for the year, it's like he's like almost 300 points above his next highest teammate. So it's not quite as much of a collection as you might think. He's obviously the best guy, but the team is built in a way that it's not like a one trick, like a Dirk with the Mavs or like we have this. He is clearly the best player. I would put him on the list. It'd be interesting if you had SGA to me on like, what's a team that if you flipped, so like put it like this. If you put Donovan Mitchell on the Thunder, is that Thunder team really that good with not quite as good of a top player?
Well, I think they are because they're so good defensively and the way that they can basically, most of those guys can guard anybody. Like the fit doesn't work with Jamal Murray, but if you correct for that, if SGA goes on the Nuggets,
if SGA goes to the Magic and they have a great defense, you think they can win?
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's the thing. But I don't think they can win a championship. I don't have SGA on my list. I have him in the honorable mention, but I might be. I guess I want to find out these playoffs, right?
So what's interesting is if you find a team that's got 2 like kind of pretty good players, say like Wagner. I think Orlando's the best smell test for this because they've got a defense in place, but they're a terrible offense, even though they have 2 good offenses. So if you threw one of these 4 players,
they're going to be great.
Would they win it?
I mean, they're going to be in the competition. Here's the better question for me. If you put them on a team like the Nuggets, where they are, and by the way, Jokic, as you know, they were 16th or 17th defensively when they won the title a few years ago, Denver. They're the same defense this year. They're not great. If you put SGA on that team with that defense, I I don't think they're a contender the way they are now. I don't think he's quite that level. Yeah,
Right.
for me,
Jokic is kind of in his own tier.
and you're right. He carries.
I don't know that there's one other player right now that would make the Nuggets a contender. Like
that's fair.
So
that's fair. I have Anthony Edwards. I have SGA, and then maybe Ant slightly beneath that. I don't think LeBron belongs in this conversation anymore. And I think part of the magic of the Lakers and the stupidity of Nico Harrison's decision making is that LeBron can now be the second. But I mean, somebody just said this on a podcast. If you have LeBron as the second best player on a team, watch out. But I don't think LeBron is this level we're talking about. I don't think KD is this level. I don't
think Anthony Edwards is either.
I think he can get there.
Oh, so
I think he can get there. Yeah, but you're right. He's not
right now. On this year, you need more.
Can I give you one that I don't believe, but I think could prove me wrong? I don't think will, but if Jalen Brunson, I don't think this is happening, but if Jalen Brunson goes out in the playoffs and carries the Knicks past one or both of the Cavs or the Celtics, I will raise my hand and say I was wrong. I don't think he's on the list, but he could prove me wrong.
I thought about him. But again, the Knicks are built in a way that it's like a Donovan Mitchell. Somebody is going to rise to be the best player on the team, but they're going to win. If they win, it's because they have 5 really, really, really good players.
The only thing I'll say about Brunson, it's a very small sample size, but he did carry the Mavs when they made that conference finals run to that opening playoff round series win because Luka was out.
He's great.
Yeah.
No,
and
there's some of these players that are like playoff players that you like. So like Trae Young is always very interesting to me. Now, I'm definitely not putting him in this category, but like he can't be the guy on your team that carries you through a regular season and gets you a good seed. But like, if you gave me say 10 guys that I would want, like that I think could carry me in the biggest series or the biggest games, Trae Young is very interesting to me.
It's legitimate that run to the conference finals a few years ago. I don't want Trae Young anywhere near my team, but I do want him near. Like, if I'm an underdog, right, and I can't have one of the guys we're mentioning, I'm here for Trae Young.
He's a good like puncher's chance guy.
What about Jimmy Butler?
Producer just put up Jimmy Butler. The answer is no. He used to be. Jimmy Butler he cannot take a team and win a champion. And I know I said this about the Heat for years and I was wrong, but I'm right this time. He cannot do it right now.
Oh, here's what I'll say. I think that Jimmy Butler is a poor man's LeBron in the sense that he's a great number 2, but he's not LeBron level number 2. But I think if I were going to rank these guys, I think I'd rather have Steph right now than Luka. This seat, is that crazy? This moment in time, not the next 7 years, obviously.
No, Steph.
I think it goes Joker. And then I think it goes Steph. I think it goes Joker, Steph, Giannis, Luka for me on this very limited list of the guys who can carry you.
I don't think that's unfair. That we saw last night that there's still nobody that, that what's interesting is if you think about it, right now, we have the 2 guys in the past, whatever you want to say half decade, that have done more with less than anyone else in the league. And Jimmy Butler did more with the Heat than anyone else we've seen anybody else do. And Steph did more with that 22 team than anyone else. So now we've got 2 guys on the same team that have done more with less than anyone else in the league, which is sort of a roundabout way of this conversation we're having is who can do the most with less. That's sort of what we're asking.
What's amazing about that is that I think it was legitimate to think and believe, I did, that the LeBron and Steph eras were over in terms of their chances to do anything meaningful in terms of competitive basketball in the playoffs. And this crazy trade deadline has given us a little, at least an extra season, probably more for each of them. Like LeBron and Steph's runway now is longer than it's extended.
I remember I was on talking to Evan Turner when we were on air a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying, I'm not ready to have a playoffs, like meaningful playoffs without Steph and LeBron. And that kind of gave that back to us. We got to give LeBron props. I mean, we don't need to go too much into detail here, but like the Lakers defense, which I thought was going to be trash, has been like top 3 for
it's been crazy.
A while. And LeBron is like, if you watch him, he's running around, he's making multiple efforts, he's doing like all these in the cracks things. And you have to think part of that is, but it's been going on longer than they since they got Luka. But now you have to think that his burden being lifted to create everything offensively, the way he can expend his energy, how just re-energized mentally he is. They've been really good defensively. So
let me ask you a question that John would hate, but I'm going to ask you because it has a lot of sort of caveats and if, ands, and buts. Take out the Thunder from this. Okay, this excludes Oklahoma City, and let's just say that the Warriors make the actual playoffs in whatever form that is. Would you rather have the Lakers and the Warriors or the rest of the field minus OKC?
Oh, minus OKC. In the West?
Just in the West. Just in the West.
I'd rather have the Lakers and the Warriors.
I think I would too. Only Morale is hanging out on YouTube. That Warriors 22 team still had Clay, Draymond with an energized Andrew Wiggins. The only problem with that 22 team was that they didn't have a center. Jimmy's Heat teams had nobody. I don't know. I think Clay was washed, and we just weren't willing to admit it. Wiggins was wildly inconsistent. He did play well at times in that postseason, and Dre's always fairly effective when he's there. I don't think that Warriors team was very good. I think that team was about
the one guy we're forgetting is Jordan Poole was a big part of that. He was.
That guy sucks now.
Well, he's been better this year. He was a laughing stock last year, but he's actually
better. But he's not reliable on a good team. All right, man, we've been going. Do you want to take a break and we'll get into this Anthony Edwards thing? Apparently, Anthony Edwards could have been a Maverick and Luka could have been a Timberwolf. We will dive into that in just a moment. Literally like 10 seconds here on Beyond the Arc.
I feel home when I see the faces that remember my own. When I'm with my friends, I feel home.
Welcome back into Beyond the Arc. Are you one of these Warriors fans? It sounds like you were, that watched every single game. How are you going to do when Steph leaves, man? What's your confidence level? That's going to be okay.
It won't be the same. I'm too old to stay this fanatical. And I was even starting before they. I mean, no one's gonna. I mean, I was actually like, because I started talking to some friends who were Patriots fans, and they traded Tom Brady. And like, I was ready if we didn't do something at this deadline because of what you just said, which I think is a great point. That we're not ready to not see Steph playing meaningful games. I would have been fine if they traded him. Now they would never do that
on here.
They would
that on here. I was horrified.
Yeah, I would have done. I was like, I don't want to see Steph languishing on. I want to see him playing, and now he's going to hopefully be able to do that, or at least have a chance. So, awesome. Yeah.
All right. So there's a report out that when the secret Mavs conversations with the Lakers were going on, the idea first percolated to move on from Luka Doncic. Obviously, it was a trade that ended up sending Anthony Davis to LA. That the Mavs inquired with the Timberwolves whether they would be open to a Anthony Edwards swap, a trade based on those two guys switching places. And according to the report, the Timberwolves said no. And then privately, what the hell are they thinking? It's really interesting. I guess the question would be, who would you rather have if you could choose? I think I'd rather have Luka. It's not even a question for me than Anthony Edwards.
I would too. But it is an interesting question because now we're talking about a legitimate, like, this isn't some broken down 32-year-old center that they're trading for me.
Right. That's true.
But like, it is an honest question. And we also heard that they reached out about Giannis. I think you have to factor in both of those teams just shooting that down. If that's how it happened, is that they just don't think Luka would want to stay, I guess, in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's right.
Or Milwaukee. But given the age, how old is Giannis? Aaron, I'm
going to guess he's 30. Straight guess.
So Giannis and Luka are very, very interesting to me. I still err on the side of being able to create as a shooter. I think it's so hard to be the guy.
30. Giannis is 30.
I think I would have traded Giannis for Luka. If I knew he was going to re-sign, I think I would have traded Giannis for Luka. Anthony Edwards I think he's 2 years younger than Luka. He's like 23. That's a really, really interesting.
The thing about Giannis is, and I obviously reported this in I don't remember, sometime in the fall, and it was sort of reiterated recently. Part of the reason that the Bucks said no, obviously, but reportedly other people's reporting, not mine, that John Horst turned down this opportunity for Luka despite their concerns that Giannis may not stay. And I think the speculation is the reason would be, you're right. Luka, I think Luka will stay a Laker, but that's not a lock. And there's no chance in hell he's staying in Minneapolis or Milwaukee if Luka Doncic gets traded there.
All these guys, like Jimmy Butler was trying to do that too, where like I can be a free agent. Like, there's not very many teams, and certainly not teams that
right.
these type of players want to play for, that could just give an exterior player. You can give your own guy the money, but they would have the cap space to pay Luka a max. So like, let's just say he got traded to Minnesota or whatever. It's like, I don't want to play here. Well, like, I guess you got to work out a trade or whatever, because like, who's he going to sign? Who's got cap space? Although the Spurs were coming up with cap space, so that would.
By the way, speaking of which, did you see the report out there? I wish I could remember whose site, but it was someone that the speculation that maybe Durant wants to play with Dallas, with Kyrie and AD.
That'd be great. Yeah. Also, he's another guy. The Suns are a disaster. You see last night.
I don't think he's on that list at all. Are we going back to that time? I don't think he's on that list at all.
I don't know. He's still pretty awesome, but if
the Suns are, what do you mean? The Suns have some guys, and they're awful. Dude, KD. All right, here's my hot take, but it's a real take. KD is the greatest number 2 in NBA history, and has never, ever been a successful number 1. Closest he got was losing in 5 games of the Heat in the finals when he had Westbrook and Harden. I mean, he couldn't even make a conference finals in Brooklyn. Dude, he's the best version of Pippen or whatever it is of all time.
I don't know.
What do you mean, dude? He can't do it.
I know.
What do you mean you don't know?
Because there's circumstances. Like let's say when Brooklyn didn't make it, all those guys were hurt, and he went nuts. No one else could have done more.
And he chose those teams and didn't get it done.
No, I hear you. If we're just going on the result, I mean, I would hesitate to say he's a guy that without the right setting,
final,
not like the right setting, like he's kind of. He needs more, give you that. He needs more circumstances in his favor.
Join the greatest team of all time that didn't quite win a championship. That's
I'm not going there. He's still.
I mean, come on, dude. No. He's amazing.
There's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams you can put Durant on right now as the best player, and they'd be a true title contender. A lot of
everybody. Like they were in Phoenix. I heard that story. Like they were in Brooklyn. I heard that story.
So if you wanted to run down the list, like, okay, flip him with Donovan Mitchell, the Cavs are definitely winning.
Yeah, dude, he's the best number 2 of all time, or the best version of Donovan Mitchell.
Player. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Circumstantial. So to circle back, if he went to play, no, I agree with that. If he went to play with Anthony Davis and Kyrie,
oh yeah, be a good team. By the way, Nico Harrison might get his revenge. I mean, the Mavs might. They probably won't, but might win a title before the Lakers. If Nico Harrison, if that happened and Nico got one ring, you get the Mavs win 2026 NBA Finals in Durant's last hurrah, and Kyrie and AD is able to. Does that justify the trade? Whatever follows for Luka?
That's the problem with this trade. Wow. There's literally not one upside that can justify it. Not a title. No.
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
it buys him 5 years.
I mean, he would definitely be having a bit of a laugh. Like there were definitely a lot of conversations. There'd be definitely a lot of conversations between guys like us. Like, was this worth it? But I just still don't think you can cash in maybe the next 15 years of Luka Doncic. I just don't think so.
If the Mavs got a title, but the thing is, I was going to say, and Luka never wins one, but Luka's going to win one in LA. I mean, he's just barring health issues.
I don't know. I don't guarantee anyone anymore because the league's too good.
I get it, but
too good. I don't guarantee
anyone either, but I think it's going to. I mean, he would be, if Luka Doncic doesn't win a title. I mean, dude, he is what better players have ever. I mean, he's better. Is he better? Is he going to be better than Karl Malone? I'm trying to think the best players to never win a championship.
Well, I'll tell you this. If Luka can't win a title, we can pretty much put to bed the conversation of whether an offense first, heliocentric point guard can win. Because if he can't, we've already seen it. It didn't work with James Harden. It never worked with Damian Lillard. It didn't work with Trae Young.
He's better than all those guys, though, obviously.
He is. And so if he can't do it, because it's like,
I think he will.
Sort of going that way, and now the league's going the other way with the way the Warriors went, where it's like, even though we have a guy that we could just spam pick and roll with and forget everybody else, they haven't done that. And now the Thunder move the ball, the Cavs move the ball, the best teams, the Nuggets move the ball. The best teams don't just throw the ball to the best player, and because it hasn't worked. But he's the one guy left that could still prove that philosophy right.
I think he's going to get one, but it's a really good point. It's a really interesting canary in the coal mine for that mostly lost approach to winning. Any final thoughts on Anthony Edwards? I
think you made he got chucked last night. He's just suspended tonight. That was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, to me, it's much ado about nothing, or maybe much ado about very little. Just Anthony, chill out. Don't get a bunch of texts. I don't think it's that big.
Yeah. What's interesting to me is that the night before, Finch was, or maybe it was last night. Maybe it was. When they came back on OKC, Finch was really whining about how hard it is to play OKC and all the calls that OKC gets, and the Wolves actually outshot them from the free throw line that night. And then last night, like, the Lakers just marched, and I think some of that probably built up frustration. Doesn't think he gets officiated the same way. And now the Lakers, who have just been getting a very disproportionate amount of free throws for a very long time, it's probably just a buildup of that.
I think that's right. By the way, one name I meant to add to the best players to never win, because producer Aaron just added Malone, Barkley, Ewing, Elgin Baylor, Stockton, Steve Nash. Joel Embiid's going to be on that list too. I mean, he's my Kevin Durant.
I don't want, and Joel Embiid's not taking you anywhere, and not just for injury reasons. Like, he doesn't do enough. Nick Nurse unlocked him a little bit with some of the mobility.
I don't know.
No way.
You give me 70 games from Embiid for 5 straight years and the playoffs, I'm getting a title.
It'd be the same thing as Kevin Durant. You'd have to have really, really good circumstances around him. I don't trust him.
He has to join the 73-win Warriors. That's his.
Then maybe.
I got it. All right. Let's. This is fun. Bill Ryder, Brad Botkin, Beyond the Arc. By the way, please subscribe, like, turn the notifications button on our YouTube page, all that good stuff. It'll let you know when we have new videos and new content. When we go live, we do some shows live after games as well. So it's a good way to just sort of understand the schedule and get all the stuff we're doing. We're going to come back in just a moment and give you our teams of the night.
Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. A 16 beats a 1. From sweet to elite to the Final Four.
All right, welcome back into the show. Bill Ryder, Brad Botkin. Brad, I've been sick for 6 weeks.
I know. You actually seem healthier today than you have on any of the past shows.
I do feel better today. But I'm like, still, what do you recommend? I used to drink Grand Marnier to get to.
What is Grand Marnier?
My grandma used to drink. It's a orange cognac.
Oh,
man,
the old grandpa's cough medicine. I don't know, dude. I don't get sick. At this point, I'm not even worried about jinxing myself. It's been so long. It took me, when COVID came out, I didn't get COVID until like it was like long, long gone. I didn't get it through any of the, I don't know. I don't get sick. I've never been injured. Like, I've never even twisted an ankle.
What are you, Bruce Willis from Unbreakable?
I don't know. For a while, I used to be really worried about jinxing it, but like, I've just never been. I mean, sick is off and on, but no, it's very weird. I played sports through college and never, like, I'm serious. I've never even jammed a finger. So nothing.
Have you seen Unbreakable? Scientists need to study Brad. Put him in a laboratory.
I give the guy so much hell that I play tennis with, because every day it's like,
you play tennis?
Like, my knee hurts, and I'm like, dude, I'm the oldest one of the bunch, and I'm never hurt. What's wrong with you guys?
Oh, bro, I'm a tennis player. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
You gotta
get down here.
What's your level?
It's the only thing I care about.
I'm a 4.0 though. All right, what's your level?
I'm higher than that.
You're not higher than a 4.0.
Yeah, I am.
What's your level? What are you?
Well, are you doing that off USTA?
Yeah.
I would say I'm a 5.
You're not a 5.0, Brad.
Yeah.
You're a 5.0 tennis. You could have played college tennis.
I could play college tennis right now as a 46-year-old.
Oh, I think I'm calling BS on this. I will bring my racket.
Okay.
You think you're a 5, dude? Are you also 6'8"?
There's no think. I mean, I'm not.
Hold on. Do you play USTA?
Yeah, I played USTA.
Send me you played 5-0 USTA.
No, like I play like guys that I just like pick up games. Like I'm not in league. You asked, I'm telling you the truth.
Okay. I mean, I play a lot of tennis. So
That's all right. I'm
right.
an athlete. I'm telling you.
That's cool. I'm a tennis player. Do you ever get to LA? Because the next time one of us gets there, this is 100% on.
Dude, we can get the film. You won't like the result.
That's fine. If you're a 5-0 and you kick my ass, credit to you, dude.
Yeah.
I just think there's a much.
I can serve when I'm serving, like when I'm on, I can serve 115 plus.
When I'm on, guess what? When I'm off, I can return a 115 serve. So I'm not worried about that at all.
When you're off, you can return 115.
Yeah, because I'm never off.
Okay, this needs to go down. Set it up.
Yeah.
I'm never in LA. So when you come to the office, we'll set this thing up. We'll live stream.
You know the old Princess Bride where he says to the guy, I don't think that means what you think it means. I don't think you know what a 5-0 means. I thought you were going to go 4 or 5. You think you're a 5-0?
Okay,
Bro.
maybe tell me what's a 5-0?
I mean, a 5-0 is basically like you're a college player. You are a high-level college player.
College right now.
Like there's a guy that I play with who played at Cornell who's not a 5-0.
How old is he?
He's 62, but he's good. There's another guy that I don't play with because he's too good, but I play around and I know who played high-level tennis. He's 23. He's young, and he is a 5-0, but he's just barely a 5-0. That's a high level. We've gone deep on the tennis on the NBA podcast.
I mean, admittedly, I don't know exactly.
Bro, that's right. You're a 5-0. You're a 5-0.
I hit with really good players, and I'll hit them.
You're a 5-0. And that means you're gonna beat me 6-0, 6-1, and I look forward to that experience.
Now here's the thing I've learned in tennis. It's definitely not like if you go out and watch two guys play, and one guy is hitting and it's like that guy's significantly better, but the score is still like 6-4 because it's like we're all amateurs.
You're 5-0, bro. I'm not getting to 4
mistakes, and it's like the score isn't gonna be terribly indicative. But put it this way,
yes, it is. It's very indicative. You're a 5-0. I'm a stone cold winner. I'm excited to see how this goes. I love it.
I have a friend who moved into the community, and he's very good. He's a young kid, and he had the same thing with somebody that he worked with, and they've been talking like we're talking right now for months. And his company's in New York, but finally his whole company came down here, and they set up this match. Like these guys were talking so much. I go out to the courts. They've got cameras in each corner of the court. They're live streaming with all the remote employees. There's like 50 guys. They got 2 announcers. They got prop bets. They got
2 announcers.
Dude, it was awesome. It was so much fun.
I'm here for it.
Down, and this little guy, like the guy that I play with, is a stud. He's like just a total athletic stud. And this other kid shows up. He's like 24, like 5'5" maybe, and just looks like the opposite of intimidating, and he rolled the guy. He was just too consistent, just too consistent.
This reminds me, producer Aaron knows this. A kid named a man named Kevin Figures and I had this talk on basketball 10 years ago, and I went out because I used to play hoops, and I beat that kid 11-0 on camera. There's a video. He was my board op at a LA radio station. Kevin Figures. Yeah, he was he's talking trash, young dude. I used to every year on the anniversary, I used to put it in my calendar and retweet the video. It's on YouTube, but I don't think he liked it, so I stopped. I did it for 5 years.
That's.
I'm just telling you, I'm very used to being underrated and just crush. But
I don't need to say anymore. If you're
a 5-0, you're gonna crush me. If you're a 5-0, you're gonna beat me 6-0, 6-1. However, I'm highly skeptical, so I'm here for it. All right. I'm excited. What's your team of the night, McEnroe?
I think I got way more power than McEnroe. He's
okay. What's your team of the night, Alcaraz?
There you go. The Magic, and we were talking about this maybe a month ago when they were about to start getting Franz and Paolo back, and I said I think this team's going to drop because they're not just going to like jump back in. They're inefficient shooters. And it's been a big problem. So this team, the defense is there, obviously, but they're so inefficient. Both those guys are shooting under 30% from 3. They just can't create any offense. And I think this was the team that everybody thought could be sort of that like fun team in the playoffs that nobody wants to see. And I don't think they're a team that is in desperate need. Like when the Spurs are going out and getting De'Aaron Fox and all these teams that are able to add that guy. This is a team that, as good as Paolo and Franz are, they really need a go-to perimeter scorer that can shoot efficiently, and they're going to be disappointing until they can get that.
My team of the night is the team that beat your team of the night. I'm going to go with the obvious Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
It was a Steph Curry show, but man, they're playing so, I mean, we've talked about, they're playing so good and so well. All right. This was fun. This was, me and Federer over here just hanging out.
Come on down. Bill, you know, trying to read the Heat. The Heat aren't very interesting, but we need to set up like an NBA summit. And
NBA summit.
And we'll do this.
Sometimes they have me down just to be in studio and say hi to people. Maybe I'll let Brianna know that I need to do this in part to just, either humble you or be humbled.
Make it.
I haven't played a 5-0 in years. They're rare. You're a unicorn. I'm excited, unicorn, to get out.
I'm gonna have to get off this and look up what a 5-0 is.
You're not a 5-0. But anyway, I love your confidence. I love your confidence.
If I'm not, I'm a 4.85. Listen, we're splitting hairs here, buddy.
No, you're not, dude.
I don't know why you're laughing.
Oh, it's really funny. Steve Nash plays where I play tennis, and he is now a 5-0, and it took him apparently 7 years of tennis to get there. And he's Steve Nash. All right, anyway, you're a 5-0. It's great. It's great. I love it. It's like LeBron when he beat Jordan one-on-one when he was 3 or whatever. This is pure magic for Brad Botkin.
Okay.
We'll tape it. I'm Bill Ryder. I'm just a 4-0. Thank you for hanging out. Have a good weekend. John and I'll see you back here on Monday.